Hey everyone, and welcome back to another theory. With The Mandalorian coming to an end, we can start to roll theories into Season 3 if they don't come true in this last stretch. All of Season 2 has been revolving around the Jedi and reuniting Grogu with them. With Boba, Bo-Katan, and Ashoka showing up, I can't imagine who will arrive next. While I really want to see Luke Skywalker again more than anything, and you guys know this, I have to say there's one Jedi I do think could answer the call from Grogu on Tython, and that Jedi is Cal Kestis. It actually makes a lot more sense than Luke, and I'm going to explain it in this video. By the end of it, hopefully you'll think so too. There are many reasons that he in particular might come true, and it actually makes a lot of sense after I started writing this script. Cal Kestis was a Jedi who survived Order 66. This puts him as a possible candidate for knowing who Grogu was, especially seeing as how he was quite young when it happened, around the age of 12, which makes him 17 once Fallen Order happens, which is 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, or in other words, Order 66. I don't think he was the one person who saved Grogu, but they might have known each other and shared a strong connection in the Force. Cal had a power called Psychometry. This was a super rare ability granted to very few Jedi. One other Jedi who had this was Quinlan Voss, who used it in the Clone Wars. Now, Psychometry is a power when you see the history of an object upon first touching it. If Cal were to sense the familiarity of Grogu's presence reaching out on the Seeing Stone in the Force, he would answer the call. No doubt. He'd arrive on Tython, and even though the Dark Troopers took Grogu to Moff Gideon and Mando, Boba, and Fennec had left, all he'd need to do was to touch the Seeing Stone to get a flash of everything that had just happened there. He'd see and feel what Grogu saw and felt. He would go over to the crater of the Razor Crest's remains, and he would touch the scorched earth, maybe pulling out a piece or two from the remains of the ship, only to feel who destroyed the ship that belonged to Din Djarrin. He would sense Din and Grogu's adventures together and their strong connection. Jedi Fallen Order ended in the beautiful realization that Force-sensitive children who escaped Order 66 are still out there in the galaxy. And I think JFO 2 will basically be that story of him finding these lost younglings and padawans throughout the galaxy, as of course, or I hope, he'd come into contact with Vader, stopping him. Cal's Jedi Master, who unfortunately died while protecting the young Cal from clone troopers during Order 66, was a Lasat male named Jaro Tapal, and he taught his Padawan how to be courageous and focus on the good things in the galaxy, but also how to embrace failure as a learning opportunity. Because of his master's teaching, Cal spends his time helping others and trusting in the Force, which is what led him to the Jedi Knight Seer Junda and her mission to secretly restore the Jedi Order. Grogu is just another lost youngling from Order 66, whom he may have never found again after being in the temple with him and being friends, or he did find him, and we might see that in Jedi Fallen Order 2, then he lost him to the Inquisitors or the Empire or something, which we would see later on. I think explaining this dark period between Grogu at the temple and then Grogu in the hands of the remnants of the Empire is a story that is extremely interesting and something that they could definitely flesh out in the games, and not just the comics, because I feel like that's just kind of limited. It would be cool, but you want to see this in, at the very least, a game, because those are pretty much basically movies, to be honest. As a huge gamer, I feel like the actors that portray these characters and perform these roles in games are just as much of an actor as you would see on screen, if not even more. Long before the rise of the Empire and the Jedi Purge, there was the Scrapper Guild, located on the planet Bracca. Cal worked there as one of their scrappers when he hid his true identity from the Empire, that is. His job required him to climb up old ships from the Clone Wars and salvage valuable resources from them. It's a very dangerous job, as scrappers don't wear any safety harnesses, nor do they have insurance. Though he had seen his master die and the clones in the Jedi Temple turn against him when he was a young Padawan, Cal still risked exposing himself as a Jedi when his fellow scrappers were in danger. Morgan Elsbeth. During the Clone Wars, her people were massacred. She survived, and let her anger fuel an industry which helped build the Imperial Starfleet. She plundered worlds, destroying them in the process. Now, could Elsbeth that we saw in Episode 5 be in charge of some line of the Kuat Drive yards that Cal was working on? Is there any sort of connection there? Now check this. One of the artists who did Inosanto's hair and makeup, who is the actress that plays Elsbeth, who is also the goddaughter of Bruce Lee. Anyways, one of her hair and makeup artists named Maria Scandoval said that Elsbeth was one of the last survivors of Dathomir. Now, where she heard this information, I don't really know. Maybe she heard it on set and she wasn't possibly supposed to say that, but she did. Either way, it's good news for us. Dathomir played a huge chapter in Jedi Fallen Order with Merrin. Merrin must have known Elsbeth as well, since there really weren't a lot of Dathomirians left at this time. There's a lot of connections going on here between these people in such a large and vast galaxy that makes me really think that Cal could actually show up. Grogu sits on the Seeing Stone, which lights up in the ancient runes that we all see throughout Jedi Fallen Order. We see it on the cover, we see it when Cal is saving the game, and we see it through other points in the game as well. Kinda makes you wonder if Grogu was saving his progress and adding to his skill tree atop the stone. What was he really seeing there? Who was he communicating with? Jedi or Sith? The lore being used is one and the same, I believe, so it actually makes me think Cal might just be as logical of a Jedi to arrive than Luke. In fact, maybe even more logical. He could show up in the end only to help save the day, or if Din is truly defeated and almost dead, having lost Grogu to the Empire, Cal could show up and maybe name drop Master Luke Skywalker, who sent him to recruit Lost Force sensitives throughout the galaxy. It would make sense that Luke would maybe have his own disciples that he would send out to the galaxy to maybe find more Jedi, which would really be more of an efficient process than just him. The only problem is that they'll have to kill Cal Kestis off before the sequels start, unless they want to, like banish him to the unknown regions or something like that. But then, you got Exegol, so it's like, what's he doing? So he's probably gonna have to die, and that makes me sad, but it'd just be kind of too weird with him not around if he ends up being part of the story. But then again, the galaxy is a huge place, so I mean, heck, he could even time travel, that's a thing too. Cameron Monaghan, who plays Cal Kestis, would be playing a 40 or 41-year-old Cal, and how I got to that number was very easy. If he was 12 in Revenge of the Sith, which is 19 BBY, which basically means 19 years before Episode 4, the very first Star Wars, we travel 19 years to 0 BBY, or Episode 4, then another 10 years to get to The Mandalorian, which is 5 or so years after the Return of the Jedi, which is 4 ABY. If that's really confusing, just take my word for it. He'd be in his early 40s, or about 41 to be more exact. Anyways, he's about 40 years old, and the actor Cameron Monaghan would be pretty ready to play the role. They just need to add, a couple fake wrinkles and some weathered skin, and he's good to go. Now, don't you also find it interesting that they made Cal look identical to the actor who played him? This isn't the most common maneuver or theme in making video games, unless you're a super famous actor, as actors don't usually have to match the looks of the character. I think this was all set up nicely for his entrance into The Mandalorian. And now that we come to the end of this video, I really think that Cal could be the one to show up, even more than Luke, which would be kind of a double whammy, because then we get to see Cal, and he would name drop Luke, saying that we're bringing new Jedi, or Jedi who have survived Order 66 throughout the galaxy, to a new school run by Master Skywalker. Boom, end finale, roll the credits, and then we gotta wait for Season 3, where we'll kind of get a Kyle Katarn, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast feel, where we will go to Luke's temple and see Luke, and that would be absolutely amazing. Let me know what you think down below. Hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for watching this theory. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, remember, the Force will be with you always.